What's up, everybody? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button to the Hoops Tonight YouTube channel, and then follow me on social media on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter so you guys don't miss any of our content over the course of this season. All right, let's talk some basketball. Nuggets-Wolves. This was a really interesting game. I was excited to watch this one. I wasn't planning on hitting any other games from the Wednesday night slate because I wanted to do more deep dives, but not often do you have a team like the Nuggets kind of kick everyone's ass to start the season and then run into a buzzsaw. And again, it's funny, there's been a lot of things that I've been right about so far this season, and then there's been a lot of things that I've been wrong about so far this season, and at least in this small sample size. It's to be expected. I'm not some Nostradamus dude. I think it'd be weird if anybody was capable of predicting something that's supposed to be as random as the NBA, but I predicted that the Bucks would really struggle to start the season. They have struggled. I predicted that the Celtics would run away with the league, and it looks like they're well on their way to doing that. But there were a couple of other teams, specifically the Lakers and the Timberwolves, that I said would be very good regular season teams that both came out the gates playing pretty bad basketball. And both of them got on track last night with really good games. We talked about the Lakers last night, but the Timberwolves, they had lost a really ugly game to the Atlanta Hawks where they blew a late lead. They lost to the Toronto Raptors. They haven't quite looked like the Timberwolves, particularly on the defensive end of the floor. So I've been looking for them to kind of snap out of it and kind of regain some of their identity that they had in the tail end of last season, right? And so this was a great chance for that. At home against an undefeated Nuggets team. And then again, if I were to tell you guys, those of you guys who have listened to the show, if I were to ask you guys, how would the Timberwolves beat the Nuggets? It's a pretty straightforward process. You stick Jaden McDaniels on Jamal Murray and you erase him from the game. And then you make Jokic work hard and make things difficult with him, with Cat on him and with Rudy Gobert and help, right? And then you run it down their throat in transition. That's what it would look like. And that's exactly what it looked like. And it was funny because I remember thinking before I started watching the tape, I'm like, I wonder if this is what it's going to be like. And it was an absolute masterpiece from the opening tip of perimeter defense from Jaden McDaniels. Just taking away all of the easy shots that Jamal Murray gets in the offense just by navigating screens and staying attached with all the length and athleticism that he has. Sometimes I feel like something screams at us in the face and we just need to accept it for what it is. I don't think there's anybody in the league who's playing better defense on the perimeter right now than Jaden McDaniels. I would say he's probably the very best perimeter defender in the league. And I thought him kind of throwing Jamal Murray out of whack right from the start was a huge part of how they got off to an early lead in this game. And then it was a steady diet of bodies coming in, right? Nickeil Alexander-Walker came in and did a good job on Jamal Murray. They had switches where it would end up being Kyle Anderson on Jamal Murray who would do a good job. They just constantly had length and athleticism up in Jamal Murray's face from the opening tip of the game. And then Karl Towns is funny. Karl Towns is not a good defensive player. But the Jokic matchup is weird because he's so damn big and strong. I talked about this about the Embiid concept, right? Embiid's not in the same stratosphere as a defensive player as Anthony Davis, but he's kind of uniquely equipped to handle Jokic because he's just big, right? That's kind of the thing with Cat. Cat was big enough to absorb some of the Jokic blows and just kind of make it a little bit tougher on him. As a matter of fact, if you go watch this game, especially focus in on that first shift there in the first 6 minutes, watch how often Jokic tried to post Cat up and Cat was able to flatten him out a little bit, meaning make him go side to side versus actually downhill towards the rim. And when you couple that with Rudy Gobert and his unique ability as a backline defender to kind of play that middle ground between Aaron Gordon and Nikola Jokic, they did a really nice job. And even Naz Reid, who's not as big and strong, I would say, as Cat, I thought he came in and did a decent job on Jokic. As a group, that front court held Jokic below 50% shooting, and he had more turnovers than assists. You can't do a better job than that on Jokic. Now, again, it went exactly as you would expect. When it was clear to Jokic that the other guys didn't have it, when Jamal didn't have it, Michael Porter Jr. took some really tough shots early and was missing them. It kind of became clear that Jokic needed to be aggressive, and he did. He looked to be aggressive, and he made a bunch of shots to kind of keep them close in the game. That's what the best player in the world is going to do, right? But for the most part, you made Jokic work, and you made him less efficient than he usually is, which is what you want to do. And then on those stops and turnovers, they They got out in transition. They had 27 points in transition in this game on their way to a convincing blowout. They spent the majority of the game up by 20. They killed the Nuggets bench group by playing both Naz Reid and Karl Towns in that group together. And then they just posted up those two guys every single time. And Cat would like back his man down and get a bucket. And then Naz Reid would back his man down and get a bucket. It was like they just, in a weird way, they made the Nuggets look small. And the Nuggets aren't small, but that's kind of the beauty of matchups in the NBA, right? Like I always talk about how matchups dictate things in the playoffs. And like the Nuggets, I think, are the best team in the league. And we're going to talk about that more in a minute. But like the truth of the matter is like even if the Nuggets are the best, they're not an unbeatable basketball team, and there's going to be one of the 29 teams that's more equipped to beat them than the others, and if they catch them in the right matchup and enough guys play well, they can beat them, right? And like we actually saw the Wolves last year give the Nuggets some trouble without Jaden McDaniels, who had broken his hand in that Lakers game, and without Naz Reid as that backup center option to throw at Jokic. And so like this is, as of right now, I would say that they're probably the most well-equipped physically to handle the Nuggets offense because of Jaden McDaniels being the best perimeter defender in the NBA, having two big-bodied centers that they can put on Jokic to keep him from bullying his way to the rim, and having that legitimate backside defensive weapon in Rudy Gobert playing that back line, causing problems, and their ability to get down the floor in transition. On the Nuggets front, really poor offensive approach early on, I thought. Jamal Murray in particular seemed intent on demonstrating that he could score on Jaden McDaniels, and so he took a lot of really tough jump shots over really good contests by Jaden McDaniels, and almost all of them came up short on the rim. They turned the ball over way too much. They had 11 turnovers in the first half that led to 20 points for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and then they just dug themselves into too big of a hole. And then from there, like not enough of their guys played well to try to dig out of it. Non-Jokic starters were 11 for 34 from the field and had 6 turnovers. So again, like I think they're capable of playing a lot better than they did. But credit to the Timberwolves, like that's what the Timberwolves are supposed to look like. They're supposed to be just an unbelievably good defensive team. That's why I've been so excited about them. That's why I believed they could be a great regular season team this year. They did not bring that regular season defensive intensity to start. Jaden McDaniels missed the first couple games as well. Now that he's back, hopefully they can recapture that identity and maintain that throughout the season. The Nuggets ran into their first buzzsaw. I think the Nuggets are the best team in the league. But what did I say at the beginning of the year? I said, right now they're way ahead of everybody because they know exactly who they are. Everyone else is kind of figuring things out, right? I still think when we get to the end of this road, the Nuggets are going to be the best team in the league, but only by a small amount. And what that means is that I don't think they're going to rip off 60, 65 wins. I think they're going to rip off 53, 55 wins, right? And which is in the Western Conference, that's amazing, right? And I think they're probably going to get the 1 seed. But, I mean, like, they're not going to beat everybody. And this was a good example of the type of talent that you run into on a night-in, night-out basis in the NBA. And when they play like they're capable of playing, you can lose to anybody in the NBA. And I think that's going to be a consistent theme throughout the season.